Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me here at the Mitzvah Talk podcast with your host, MC Showtime. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're here on our set at our showroom here in Farmingdale, New York, where we share space alongside our sister companies, Heart to Heart Entertainment and New York Lounge Decor. Um, I am a Mitzvah MC and also a salesperson with ET Events, and I'm going to be sharing my journey and also shedding light to the mitzvah scene here in the tri-state area. And also, I'll be having vendors join me here on the couch, along with rabbis and past clients, to to open up and bring a light to the mitzvah scene. So it's not a scene that's talked about much. It's something that's kind of unspoken in ways. If you're not part of the community, the Jewish community, or as a vendor working on the mitzvah scene. I am truly proud of the progress and the steps that I took to get to where I'm at. It's been a blessing, and I'm here to continue that. And I want to share my journey with everybody, and I want to talk about it, and I want to bring light to the positive things that I endure each and every weekend, with all these beautiful families and all these wonderful children, you know, stepping into their man and womanhood and their Jewish religion, and celebrating that. And I'm blessed to be a part of it. It's something really beautiful to see. Um, Families coming together and for 4 or 5 hours, no worries, no concerns, just living in the moment, having fun, rocking that dance floor. So those are a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about is what I see out here each and every weekend on that dance floor, what we do behind the scenes to make those things happen each and every weekend. So I hope you guys continue to tune in and check me out. Just know that I'm going to be here to shed a light on the mitzvah scene, show you guys how we rock out each and every weekend. There's been quite a bit of, some Jewish hate going on, and I'm going to show you guys that, that doesn't exist here. It does, for me, each and every weekend, it's love over hate. And, as an African American in this community, um, I understand, being, judged and targeted for, for your race or for your religion. So I'm going to show you guys that here at these parties, it's all love. It's all smiles. It's all good energy. I'm around great people. I've met a lot of great people. Um, so yeah, you're gonna hear that throughout, and I'm gonna tell my stories, and I'm gonna share with you guys so much that's kind of behind the scenes here. So my journey, uh, how did I become a mitzvah MC, and and turned it into a career? So here I am. I grew up in East Massapequa, New York, where I attended Amityville High School, where I graduated in 2006. I was raised by my mom, along with my two brothers, my older brother Michael and my younger brother Robert. And also, you know, uh, for a good portion of my life, was also raised by my stepfather Robert, which is the father to my younger brother. I don't have a relationship with my real dad, but that's okay because my mom is my king and my queen, and she's our rock, and the foundation to my family. So I'm blessed to have her in my life, and she's also been here, as someone that's wasn't always supportive of my journey here, and we'll get into that, but. My families are big supporters of what I do here on the mitzvah scene here. So, 2006, I graduate. Life is happening. I'm just trying to figure it out. What my plans are, what's my next moves. What I wanted to do in my life. Um, I was a pretty good athlete, but didn't do the proper things in the classroom to be where I wanted to be, and so that kind of fell short. Um, but I still had other gifts. I've always been a dancer. That's something that's been just in me. You know, um, I can say just from 2, 3 years old. I'm pretty sure my energy was always to be out on that dance floor and kind of take the attention in the room. And I could just remember myself growing up, barbecues and family parties, just having a blast and you know electric sliding and doing all that fun stuff with my family. You know, that energy, was always in me. That atmosphere was always in me to have that energy to be around people when that music's rocking and to get people moving and to have my energy be contagious to other people. So as I'm trying to figure things out, life is happening. Um, at this time, I'm 17 years old, going on 18, and still not sure what I want to do with life. Kind of hanging around the wrong crowds, and not really putting myself in the best places or in the best predicaments to do well for myself. And I saw that happening, but for me, I think sometimes being in the wrong places can put you in the right places. So I'm out one night and I met it with some friends. Take a sip here. I'm out one night and I met it with some friends to go out to the club. And we are fired up, drinks were flowing. We're excited to get to the club. I just turned 18, got my ID, so I'm ready to go out dancing, show off my moves. And we're headed out to the club, and all the cars are packed. And I'm like, man, I was like, who I'm gonna ride with? Who I'm gonna ride with? It's one car left, and this kid I've never met before. But I'm like, all right, man, you going to the club too, right? He's like, yeah, I'm headed out there too. I was like, you mind if I ride with you? He's like, sure, no problem, man. Jump in. We get to the club, and we're inside, and, vibes are good. Of course, circle opens up. I start doing my thing, and I'm popping and locking, doing my little b-boy steps. And the guy I rode with, out of nowhere, I mean literally out of nowhere, it shocked the hell out of me. Dude did a head slide across the floor. I was like, oh, I'm like, whoa, dude got moves. And I'm like, yo, where did that come from? And he's like, I'm a break dancer, a b-boy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, my man. So there, right there, the connection, far as being dancers, we vibe right away. That turned into now going to the club, often hanging out, and partying together and rocking the dance floor. And eventually, the conversation comes up. Yeah, we're going out, we're having fun, but I need some money. I'm at this time, I'm kind of jumping from job to job, trying to figure things out. And I'm like, bro, I need a way to make some money. And he's like, listen, I think you have a great personality for what I do. And I'm like, what is it that you do? And he's like, listen, he's like, I'm a bar mitzvah. I'm a bar mitzvah dancer. I'm a motivator. I'm like, trying to like explain bar mitzvah. I've never been to a bar mitzvah. I grew up in a dominantly African American minority community, so I went to a few sweet 16s, some weddings, far as formal parties, but they were at VFWs and Knights of Columbus. Wasn't really over the top type. These big celebrations that I'm getting ready to see. And he's like, listen, I think you got a great personality, bro. I think you should try out. And I'm like, listen, bro, I don't think I'm gonna fit in at the party, bro. It's like, bar mitzvah. He's like, I'm like, do I gotta wear the little hat? He's like, bro, no. He's like, it's not like that. He's like, trust me. He's like, wear all black. He's like, all you gotta do is wear all black and meet at the venue and follow the lead, of the other talent, the other dancers and MCs. So I'm like, okay. Not knowing exactly dancers, MCs, like, all right, sure. I reach out to the contact that he gave me, and at this time, like, again, money's tight, so I'm like, between phones, minutes running out on my Boost Mobile, but I have this email, so all right, I contact the company for an interview. At some point, I don't have a phone. They did reach out. I don't get the contact. I eventually get the phone back on. I see the contact. I reach back out. They're still willing to meet with me. I'm like, oh, great. I go down. This is in Belmore, where the company is. And, little did I know I'm walking into the company I'm going to spend 20 years with at the time. So I walk in, I sit down, and my first interview was with a woman. And she was gorgeous. I mean, beautiful lady. I'm like nervous as hell, like a little intimidated by this woman. And I'm like, all right, I'm hearing her out, and she's explaining to me what what the business is like, and what they expect of me out there, and I'm just yesing her to death. Like that, yeah, I need the job, so everything is yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. So, at the time, like I don't even think I have transportation, like to even get to these events. So I'm trying to figure that out as well. So I get hired for my first event, and I'm super nervous going into it because, like I said, it's it's a bar mitzvah. I've never been to one. I'm not sure what to expect. I'm not sure, what the vibes are gonna be like. So I got a little bit of it, from the meeting, but not really much. Like I said, I was just in a daze just on her to death, so I didn't really hear much of it in the meeting. But so when I got to my first event, I got to my first party, and I go over to meet the crew. I see the other dancers, and they're opening up, like party favors. So I sit down and I ask, should I help? And like, yeah, come on in. Very inviting, And as I'm going through it, I start to hear them talk about the party. MCs going over things, and they know I'm new, but they're like, listen, just follow the other dancers. You'll be fine. I'm like, all right, cool. Dance floor opens up. Oh, wait, you know what? Let me rewind. Cocktail hour happens, and this has to be the most awkward thing ever. They're like, go into go into cocktail hour. You're gonna hang out with the kids, and you're just gonna talk to them, introduce yourself. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm nervous, like going in it, and they're 12-year-olds, but still, and I'm a teenager at the time. So I'm coming in, and I'm not sure what to say or what to talk about with the kids. So I kind of start to hear the kids kind of talk amongst themselves. And, it's like current pop culture. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I can get in that conversation. Oh, Soldier Boy. Oh, they're talking about Soldier Boy. All right, I can get into that conversation. And then things starting to loosen up, you know. Then I starting to play Papa Shot with the boys, loosening it up. All right, having some fun. Now I'm getting comfortable. Time for the dance floor to open up. The music hits, and I'm shocked because it's top 40 stuff, and it's music I listen to, and then it's the adult set hits. It's Motown music. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. You're gonna pay me to do this? I do this for free at home on a regular basis, hustling with my family, dancing to Motown classics. Like, music was always played in my house. So for me, the energy changed right away, and I adapted immediately. Like, this is for me. Like, I want to do this. I want to be here. This is fun, and I got a hold, of my boy that put me onto the job, and I'm like, bro, like I need to, you know, be more involved. Like, put me on. Like, let them know. Like, I want to work. And he's like, listen, if you nailed your first job, they're gonna call you back. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm waiting, and this is funny because it's the end of June when I have my first party. Again, I know nothing of the bar mitzvah scene. Not knowing you guys disappear for 2 months and there's no work. So I'm like, okay, I learned later, and that's another episode, camp. So 2 months go by, I don't hear anything, and I'm like, what's happening? Was I bad? I'm reaching out to my boy, and he's like, he starts to explain to me like, yo, listen, it's slow season, yada yada yada. I'm like, okay, when does it pick up again? He's like, in the fall. I'm like, all right, cool. Late August, I get an email, and they send me some dates, and I reply back, yes, I want him, and I start to go through my first season, and as a dancer, I'm a complete sponge at the time. Like, I'm just taking in every little aspect of what it is that we do to create energy on that dance floor. So I'm watching the MCs closely, I'm watching the dancers closely, and I'm learning. As I'm learning, I'm starting to really get a grasp on what this is and how it's done as a dancer. Anyway, just a dancer, the dancer portion of it. And now I'm excited because I'm like, what's next? And what's next is the microphone. Now, at first, I didn't want to pick up the microphone. Being a dancer, you kind of got a little more freedom on that dance floor to kind of move around, and not as much pressure is on you, to run the timeline of the event and things like that. So I was cool as a dancer. I had my fun definitely as a dancer for sure. But the company thought, listen, bro, you're being requested a lot as a dancer. Like, it's time for you to, take that jump, and start, getting on the microphone. And because of that confidence that the company had in me, and, shout out ET Events, because of the the confidence that they had in me, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let me give this a go. So as I'm taking these bits and pieces from these different MCs, one MC in particular at the company at the time, shout out MC Carl, Next Level Events. At the time, kind of took me under his wing and, became a great mentor for me in this business, and along with others, of course. MC Guy, Mike Dodig, DJ D, those guys that had, strong influences on, how I performed as an MC and all pointed me in a direction to be successful. So I remember, you know, just my first like couple of parties, and I wasn't the main MC, but I was co-MCing. So I would take the mic during like different dance sets with the kids. And, my feedback would be, bro, listen, you have all the energy in the world, but we need to control it. And he's like, your speech. Like, bro, he's like, gotta cut the sling. And I'm like, I'm just so used, I'm from the neighborhood, man. So, I had to adjust how I spoke on the microphone. Like, it had to, my speech had to become more of, let me see, room appropriate, I should say. These people, throwing these events, they spend a lot of money, man. So, you want someone in the room that's, going to speak well on the microphone and, and talk in a positive light at your event. So as I'm learning, control becomes a big thing and, I'm bouncing around. So I remember one of the first big practices we had. And this is in Belmore. And, we had a showroom upstairs called Chills. And this is like the practice room, like the starting grounds before they put you out on the field. So like they would have like little events there, like little Sweet 16s or little birthday parties and things like that, and we would use that to practice our voices on the microphone and just our speech and things we wanted to say. One of the main practices that we had, I remember my boy, so Carl built a square for us. And this is along with other MCs that we're all training with. And that we weren't supposed to move from this square because we were learning to kind of poise ourselves and stay grounded and have a presence and be commanding on the microphone. So during that time, it's just funny because we couldn't move out of the box. It was like, we would like, he would like default us. I think he like make us do like push-ups or something silly, for stepping out of the box. But just all these little things over the years, from these different mentors that helped shape me, I took from. But once you're out there, you could take all the advice in the world, but you got to execute. And I had the personality to execute. I had the tools to get the job done on the dance floor. So as I make that transition with the company having the confidence in me, I started to make way, and I started to kind of find my own personality on a microphone and create my own version of the MC with all the little pieces I took from all the other MCs that I worked with along the way, and birth Showtime. The name, Showtime. I'll pivot to that really quick. The name Showtime. I got the MC name because at the time I started to transition to an MC, I was just MC Matt. And at the time there was another MC Matt at the company. So they're like, bro, listen, you got to get a nickname. And I'm like, why? And they're like, I'm like, what's wrong with my name? And they're like, there's two matches, so clients will call up. And he's like, bro, listen, like, they're just sounding uncomfortable on the phone because they would say, we're interested in MC Matt. And the guys would go, which Matt? And they're like, the skinny, tall, the black one? The guys are like, the black one? Like, yeah, the black one, the black guy. And they're like, listen, bro, we got to get your name because you can't be MC Black Matt. And I'm like, you're right. I don't want to be MC Black Matt. So I got to get a name. And, time went on. And one day I just get a phone call. Carl calls me and he's like, bro, I got it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, Showtime. And I'm like, what? And I think you mentioned it was like Eddie Murphy had a movie called Showtime, and I think it might have been on or something like that. And he was like, yo, we're gonna switch it up though. We're gonna spell it with a Y. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think this is gonna stick. He's like, we gotta give it a go because you can't be MC Black Matt. So what you want? So I'm like, all right, listen, I don't have any ideas. So all right, let's see how it goes. And you know, here we are, 21 years later in the industry, and I don't even hear Matt anymore. Like, everyone in the industry calls me Showtime now, and I'm grateful for the name. So appreciate you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I took the name and I ran with it. I stepped up and I had to live up to that name. Like you can't have a name like Showtime and not deliver. So, you know, I make it my business to go out there and deliver each and every weekend, with the same energy, if not more. I will also have a guest on the show with me here. I won't be alone on this podcast. I will have um, guest vendors as well, to come on from our industry to tell their stories and, to shed light on, their companies and also, bring on past clients and I have some rabbis I'm going to be bringing on as well, just to go in a little more depth on, what these celebrations mean and, how we get to these celebrations. So, you know, I have a lot of insights that I'm going to want to share and, you know, I think it's time that the mitzvah scene here in the tri-state area, has a light on the podcast. I mean, has a light on the mitzvah scene. So, with the era we're living in, here, in the podcast world, why not have one for us? So here I go. Um, Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed my story, and I hope you tune in to listen out for more. I got a lot of stuff in store um, for this podcast, so thank you guys again. I appreciate it. Take care. Have a good night.